Okay, so let's today continue on. What I want to do is review the operating activity section of Chapter 16. Okay, so what I did was I copied out QS 16.5. Now I assigned that yesterday, and again, it's going to help us carry on into the future because again, I've assigned QS 16.6 as well as just let me look at my notes here. QS 16.6 and where's it? Tomorrow. What's today already? 6. Yeah. So for tomorrow, for already, this May 7th. Okay. So yesterday I assigned 16 QS 16.3, 16.5, and 16.6. Today May 7th I'm assigning exercise 16.3 as well as a chapter 15 quiz. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to review the steps that we're going to undertake to create the operating activity section of the cash flow statement. Okay, so remember what we got to do is the first thing is we would have our title, okay, company. Does this have a company name? Yeah, in this case, Denman Inc. That's the company name. Okay, cash flow statement year end December 31. Okay. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is, okay, we'll have our operating activities. Okay, then we'll go in with our, first thing we want to do is net income. All right, then we'll have our adjustments. First thing we look at this balance sheet, okay? Well, where is our net income? Okay, well, let's think about this for a second. Here we have our current assets. Here we have our non-current assets. Plant, property, equipment. Here we have our current liabilities. All right. And then below that, it's our equity section. So what the first thing that we're going to want to do is, what I would do is I would go look at 2020, compare 2020 to 2019. Okay? So from here, I just want to calculate my differences. So I know that the difference in cash is 15,000. Okay. AR has decreased. 12,000. Inventory has increased, right? How much? 27. Prepaid rent has gone up 1. Office supplies have gone down 1. Okay. Plant, property, and equipment. Notice that's net. Okay. Notice it's going down 145 to 120. That's a difference of 25. You might ask, well, okay, we don't have any information on that. Well, hold on. We're going to see that for a second. Okay. Now, AP. AP went down 2. Unearned revenue went up 5. Common shares. They didn't issue any common shares. That's why it stayed the same at 90. Why did retained earnings go down from 124 to 100? So either we had a loss, a net loss, or we paid out dividends. Now, if I read the scenario here, no dividends were declared or paid in 2020. Okay, so what the first thing that we want to do then is, again, we need to start with our net income or our net loss. Okay, so let's take a look then at retained earnings here. So our opening retained earnings were 124. Okay, net income or net loss, we don't know. Okay, we don't know yet. Dividends, we know were 0, right? Because it says at the bottom of the question, no dividends were declared or paid in 2020. So then, how do we end up with ending retained earnings of $100? Well, what must have happened? Put that down there. What must have happened was this must be a loss. We had a loss of 24. Okay. So we start with a retained earnings of 124. We have a net loss of 24, giving us an end result of an ending retained earnings of $100. You need to be able to understand your retained earnings by now. Okay. So in a typical question like this, it's not going to give you your net income or your net loss. You're going to have to figure it out because by now we're already at the end of the year. You need to know this. Okay. So opening retained earnings plus or minus your net income or your net loss minus your dividends gives you your closing retained earnings. Okay, go back to chapter 3. So that's our starting point then. We have a net loss, it's not net income, it's actually a net loss of minus 24. Now we're going to go in to make our adjustments. Okay. Now, with the adjustments, the first thing that I like to do is I like to go look on the balance sheet, or sorry, the income statement. I want to know my depreciation, and I want to know if we have any accounting gains or losses. Okay, so in this case, we're not given an income statement, but we know plant, property, and equipment decreased by 25, probably $1,000, but I'm just going to say decreased by 25. Okay, well it's net. Notice it says net. It also says no plant, property, and equipment items were purchased or sold during 2020. So if nothing was purchased and nothing was sold, how do we go from 145 down to 120? Think about it. Debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation. That's how it's gone down. So the first thing we're going to do is add back depreciation. Okay? We've taken care of that. Now what we want to do is, again, we don't have an income statement, so we can't tell if there was a gain or a loss on sale of investments or anything like that. So we just assume there were none. Okay, so this is done. Now let's go and add in this, 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 and this. Okay. So we had a decrease in AR. So a decrease is added back. Okay. Now, did I just do a wrong number here? 20 minus 36, 8. It's not 12, it's 8. Okay. This is never going to work if you can't do the math like I just did. Okay, so we have a decrease of 8. Okay. Now let's go look at our inventory. Our inventory went up 27. So we have an increase in inventory. So when we have an increase in a current asset, we subtract. Now we go to prepaid rent. Again, we're operating activities is only concerned about current assets and current liabilities. Okay, so prepaid rent went up. We have an increase in prepaid. So that's going to go up. So what increases a minus. Okay. We had a decrease in office supplies. Okay. So we're going to add that back. The difference. We add the difference back. Now, the rest is dealing with the current liability section. Again, we've calculated the differences. AP went down. Okay, so a decrease in AP is subtracted. Okay, so minus 2. And we had an increase in unearned revenue. Okay, so an increase is going to get added. Okay. So what we'll do is minus 24 plus 25 plus 8 minus 27 minus 1 plus 1 minus 2 plus 5. We get a net cash outflow of 15. Okay, so that is your basic operating section of the cash flow statement. Okay, and it really doesn't get much harder than this. Okay, what you got to do is you got to look at your balance sheet, calculate all those differences. Okay. I would do it for as soon as I would get that balance sheet and I have to make my cash flow statement. Again, I would just go 2019 to 2020 and calculate all the differences. Okay, for every account, because eventually we're going to use all of them. Okay. This here, these two things here, the common shares, the difference there will be used in our finance section. Okay, so we don't need that yet, and part of the plant, property, and equipment will be used in the investing section, okay? But for now, like the only thing that changed was because of depreciation. Okay? So that's it for today. I just wanted to review this question. Okay, 16.6 is very similar. Okay, and then move on to exercise 16.3, which again, it's a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same. So when I look at exercise 16.3, prepare the operating activity section, our AR went up, inventory went down, prepaid expenses went up. Accounts payable went up, salaries payable went down, and interest payable went up. Okay, now they report a depreciation expense of $57,000, so you'll have to add that back in. All purchases and sales are on account. Okay, that's fine. And then they give us a profit. So what happens is 16.3, exercise 16.3 is almost easier than exercise QS 50 or QS 16.3, 3, 5, and 6. Okay, but again, we're slowly easing into it. I find that this is probably the most difficult statement to create. So again, we're going to take our time. Okay, so that's it for today. Again, I'm going to assign a quick quiz for chapter 15. It shouldn't take you all that long. So what I'd like you to do today is exercise 16.3, okay? As well as I'm going to attach the quiz to the email. So get me back your answers any way you can. And then for Friday is just going to be a work period. So again, catch up on whatever you need to catch up on. Use that time to either do your test or do these questions that have been assigned. Other than that, have a good weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday. Have a good day.